Hey guys, what's up? Today we're going to talk about how to stop comparing yourself to people. So in the past, I've been asked this question before, and I've come up with a bit of a mindset involving a tool that I thought I'd share with you guys because I used to compare myself, I still do a little bit, to people all the time. And this perspective helped me a lot in terms of not comparing myself to people so much. So the tool is this. Now, if you've played video games before, you know what this is. This is called a radar chart or a radar graph or a spider graph. I don't know exactly what it's called, but the idea is that every video game character, depending on what video game you're playing, has this. And based on the type of character, you have different stats. So if you are a healer, you're gonna be really good at healing, but your attack is gonna be garbage. And if you are a attack-based character, your attack is going to be a lot better, but other things like defense or your survivability is going to be garbage. It's going to be garbage. Because you are very good at attacking, but your HP bar is probably like a lot lower, so you die a lot easier. So as you can imagine, as people, each of us has this graph as well. And instead of the metrics here, how about we replace them with things related to life? So let's say work, relationships, family, spirituality, and physical activity. So as you can imagine, everyone has one of these. And the bottom line, or the key message for what I'm trying to tell you in this video, is it's fundamentally unfair to compare yourself to people because your stats are just different. Your experiences are different. Your goals are different. And to further explain this point, I'm going to borrow another concept from video games called experience points or skill points. And the idea behind this is as you play the video game, as you go throughout life, you get more and more of these skill points and you are able to allot them in certain categories of your life. So as you can imagine, if you are going to compare yourself to someone who is a 23-year-old billionaire or someone like Elon Musk who started his first company at 24, is that really a fair comparison? Because he dropped out of university and he's probably put a lot more skill points into the work category than you probably have. And so it's not really fair to compare yourself to that type of person because, like let's say you have more skill points in relationships. Let's say you have more skill points in physical activity. You're discrediting that. You're only comparing the positives of these people that you're looking at to that same category that you have, but you're not really looking at the other categories that you have that they might not have. It's kind of like an ego play or like an egotistical thing in a way, because you're basically saying, oh, well, like this self-made entrepreneur or millionaire or billionaire might have a lot of money, but my relationships might be better. My physical activity might be better. And so I find that more often than not, we're not really comparing apples to apples when we compare ourselves to other people. We're just looking at one thing that they have, and then we say, oh, I don't have this, therefore, like, why don't I have this, etc., etc. And so it's just not fair. Another way to look at this is, instead of looking at what you don't have, look at what you do have. And this is where things like gratitude come into play and gratitude journaling, etc. So that's kind of the mindset behind this, and I'll add a couple more things to like really drive this point home. One thing that I've thought about is really ask yourself, what are your goals and what are other people's goals? Because in my experience, whenever I compare myself to people, sometimes I realize that they have goals that are very different from mine. And again, this goes back to the whole unfair comparison thing, because if someone is very, very, very career driven and you don't want to spend that many hours at work, you don't want to put all the experience points, the skill points that you get into work, well then you don't have the same goal. So it's not really a fair comparison. And the last point that I want to make here is to offer a better approach that you can take with regards to comparing yourself to people. And to start that off, I want to ask, why do you think we compare ourselves to people? My answer to that is, I think we compare ourselves to people because they have something that we don't have. They have something that we want. And so I'm sure you've heard the quote, play to your strengths and not your weaknesses. Well, I think that quote is kind of bullshit. I think it could be better if it was reworded to something like, play to your strengths, but only after you level up your weaknesses to a point where you have a good foundation to build off of. Because if you just play to your strengths, your weaknesses can cripple what you're trying to do. So if, let's say, you're really career driven, but you're not really good at forming relationships, I think we can agree to some extent that relationships will help you in your career, no matter what kind of career you're doing. So I think a better strategy, instead of full sending all your skill points into work, if you want to beat or match someone in their career goals, put your skill points into the other areas first so that you can level up yourself to a point where you have a very solid foundation. And then after that, everything else will be easier. Like, I'm pretty sure that we can both agree that if your relationships were solid and if your ability to interact with people, if your social skills were leveled up, achieving work-related goals and career tasks would be a lot easier. So that is my hot take on how we should approach this. Level up the other areas of your life, the other skills in the radar chart to a minimal level so you have a good foundation. And then you can do whatever you want with your skill points. Alright, that's it for this video. I hope you found this helpful because this is something that I keep in mind and I use so often. So I just wanted to pass it off to y'all, and yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Wherever you're going, keep on going, and eventually you'll get there. Peace.